What's up? Welcome to Collective Thoughts. Happy Thursday to everyone. I'm the host of the show. We have a great lineup of guests for you tonight. If you have questions for them, topics you need advice on, if you want to know more about them, feel free to ask your questions in chat. You can do ! question in chat to pull up the anonymous link to submit anonymous questions if you're not comfortable putting them in chat for everyone to see. If you're under the age of 18 or any of these type of topics that we discuss, because we talk about sex, relationships, dating throughout the stream, if you don't like that type of stuff, fuck off. Get out of here. You don't have to watch the stream. I'm fine. If you would like to participate in future episodes of Collective Thoughts, you can type ! socials in chat, which pulls up the link tree, and on there is the link to sign up to join us on any of our future Collective Thought shows. Each week we try to do a different theme, different questions, a couple different guests. That way you get different perspectives, different opinions on all the topics that we discuss. If you aren't part of the Positive Thoughts Discord community, you definitely should be. Everyone in there is very open-minded, non-judgmental, accepting, sex positive, good people that enjoy each other's company, enjoy hanging out and playing games together. And we do regular meetups throughout the year, everything from like camping to TwitchCon to all kinds of shit. So if you want to be part of that community, feel free to jump in Discord and join us. I'm gonna switch over and I'm gonna have everybody introduce themselves. They'll tell you where to find them, what type of content they do, all that good stuff. We have a couple of topics for tonight, but like I said, if you have questions for us tonight, toss them in chat. I'll add them to the list as we go. Give me a second to get everything switched around. There we go. What's up?
What up, Dan?
How's it going, all right, so we're gonna start off with introductions. Animal, you want to start us out?
Sure. I'm Animal. Josh. I'm the founder of a nonprofit called Pause Your Game, and what we do is we help raise money for local animal shelters through the gaming, streaming, and influencer communities to help end unnecessary euthanasia. So,
hell yeah. Well, welcome back. Always appreciate having you on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where can people find you at?
All Animal, everywhere. Animal is spelled M-A-U-L, not the regular animal. So there you go.
All right. Hell yeah. Dr. K, welcome back.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Busy. So it's, one of those days, but we're here. So it's a good day now.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself. Where can people find you? What type of content do you do?
I do a little bit of everything. I do everything from sex education, kink and BDSM stuff. I do a lot of photography, a lot of artistic type work. I'm also a podcast host, and you can find me on all major platforms, the Submissive Next Door podcast. And I am now a certified sex educator, which is fantastic. Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I'm also a yoga instructor, aerial yoga instructor, model now that I've got that up and going. And yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. You're just doing everything.
Yeah, well, ADHD, that's how it goes. So
exactly. Well, welcome back. Appreciate you having you back. For those that don't know, my schedule's changing. I'm gonna be streaming Tuesday to Thursday going forward, instead of Wednesday to Friday. Tuesdays are gonna be multiplayer days. Wednesdays are gonna be more reading a chapter from a book, chatting, and probably playing a game that I want to play. And then Thursday we'll do Collective Thoughts. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff by doing ! socials in chat. Thanks, Kit Kat. Hertz.
Hey, I'm Hertz. Hertz09, Matt. Hey, you. I basically answer to anything. I do a lot of painting, art stuff. I just got into glass etching, and yeah, I stream really, really, really sporadically.
All right. Well, welcome back, Hertz. Hertz is one of the mods for the stream. Always appreciate having you on, dude. K-Buck.
I'm K-Buck off on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. I know it's been a while since I've been here.
Right.
I'm always watching though. Like I'm always in the chat or like popping in at the randomest times or find a topic that I'm like, oh, I gotta comment on this. Or somebody's in there, I'm like, oh, good shit they're on there. Like,
We try.
I normally don't. I haven't been streaming often at all. But when I do, it's a lot of RP games or politics panels. So
yeah.
I've been big into GTA and now Ark.
Yeah, I was gonna
Survival.
say, weren't you big into GTA? You still doing that?
I fluctuate between that and Ark because Ark Survival picked back up, and the guy who was running my GTA server I was on, he's now running an Ark Survival RP server. So we bounce between those two.
Ark is so addicting.
And I don't know anything, so it's like now I want to know it all.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not an Ark Andy yet. I've only got 200 hours, so I've got to keep grinding until I get to that point that I know everything.
Ark made me love survival games. I love survival games now.
It's the first one I've ever played, and so it's RP, so it's not as much as survival, but it still kind of is.
Oh yeah. Where can people find you at?
K-Buck off Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Off is spelled OPH.
Well, welcome back, Vicky.
Hi, I'm on the phone with a tax person at the moment, but hi, I'm Vicky Doll, Vicky Doll 90 on Instagram,
JoJo's
TikTok,
like,
and Twitter. I'm an Army veteran, cosplayer, cosmetologist, content creator, and general jack of all trades.
Yeah.
On Twitch, I try to stream Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. I mostly do cozy games, art, RPGs, makeup, cosplays, etc., and talk about all my misadventures in the military and as a self-proclaimed salute. So I'm obsessed with Animal Crossing, so any Animal Crossing friends, what's up?
Hell yeah.
And thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, welcome back. Always love having you on. I know there's several people in here that play Animal Crossing. So y'all will have to trade friend codes and shit. Jojo, welcome in. You made it.
I did. I don't know how well you guys can hear me. I'm on my laptop. I can't be bothered to sit in my streaming setup.
Sounds good, actually. Nice and clear.
Jojo West on Twitch, Jojo West Model on Instagram and Twitter. Variety streamer. When I do stream, it's a variety of things because I'm completely random and my ADHD doesn't focus on anything. And I'm a professional dildo slinger. There you go.
Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Let's see here. How we're just gonna skip to this question, then we'll jump into regular topics here. How do you identify? What are your preferred pronouns? And then what relationship style do you normally prefer? We'll start with animal. Go on the same order.
Straight, cisgendered. He, him.
Okay.
And what do I prefer? At this point, I don't know. It's been so long. I'll say poly. Let's go with that.
All right.
Having a harem sounds fun.
It does.
Yeah, until you have one, and then it's not.
Too much time.
Yeah. Right.
Dr. K.
I am pansexual and she, her, they, and my relationship style currently monogamish. Hopefully that'll change now that COVID restrictions are going away and getting a little bit more back to normal. So yeah.
Exactly. Well, all right. I am heteroflexible. He, him. Prefer ethical non-monogamy. Hearts.
Sorry, I'm watching JoJo play with Grogu. Hey, I'm he, him, they, whatever. I'm gay, and I would rather do my own thing and have sex occasionally. I don't know what you call that.
Wait, what's it? Do what? Huh?
Rather do my own thing, hang out. But when I want sex, I would like to have it. So
You're an adult.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I was gonna say, like,
every once in a while I want to have sex.
All right. K-Buck.
I'm a straight female, she, her, and monogamous. I'm currently engaged.
Sweet. Vicky.
Hi, I'm she, her, they, them, somewhere on the bi spectrum, but basically if we vibe, we vibe. I don't really care what you identify as. And I prefer solo polyamory, but I'm currently practicing ethical non-monogamy, or that monogamish, because who's really dating right now?
Jojo.
She, her.
You're like, wait, what were we talking about?
Hey, you, stop thief, whichever.
Thief.
I am Demi, Sapio. God, what else? Mostly Demi, Sapio. I don't like. I need to like you before I fuck you, and you can't be stupid if you want me to like you. That's kind of how it works. There's something else in there. I'm sure. Oh, bi. Yeah, there you go. Bi. I knew I was forgetting one.
Oh yeah, that small thing.
Yeah, that one. You know, poly.
All
There you go,
right.
done.
That's a lot. All right. We're going to jump into the regular topics now. So the first one we have is nowadays it's hard to find someone who's more of an offline type of person. Do you consider yourself to be a online person or offline person? Do you understand what I mean when I say that, Jill? So online is like you're always on social media, or like you work on a computer all the time, you're connected to your phone or tablet all the time, TV, whatever. You're just in front of devices all the time.
Well, I'm pretty sure that all of us here online
gonna
right
say.
now.
Yeah, I would like not to be. I would love to live in the woods away from humanity. That would be the dream, but I know that's not an actual reality
Right.
for myself, especially in the
So
industry.
I'm an online person as well.
Yeah, I think most of us would probably end up identifying as online, even whether it be like we sit in Discord calls most of the day, like even if it's at your work environment or something where like you're still sitting in Discord call, like you're playing games in Discord calls, like you're streaming, you're doing something with the online world like for more hours than you're away from it,
Yep.
not including sleep.
Agreed.
I'm an offline person, but I'm online, but not by choice. I'd rather be out going for a hike or playing at the park or biking or doing anything else, but I work from home.
Breach.
If-
And most of my friends are online.
Yeah, right.
Pandemic.
Hey, if
And
go ahead.
I hate social media. I use
Yes.
it because
Yeah.
I have to, but I
Yes.
don't like it.
If I could get to the point where I could hire a team of just like fucking like photographers and videographers and social media managers and that kind of shit to do all that for me, 100% would, in a heartbeat. Like no questions about it.
I'm terrible at it.
You have to do it.
Like
Yeah, everyone says if you're a Twitch streamer or doing like anything else on the platform, like to gain money, like on any type of platform, like you have to do some type
outside
of
of it,
social
so
media because it's not going to gain much.
Yep.
And that's the part that I lack so much because I could give two shits about posting on social media.
Right?
And when I do, I'm like, this is weird. I don't like this. Like, what am I supposed to tell you what I'm doing every day? Like, this is weird.
So I have a
I feel like social media is like, hey, give me attention. I need you to pay attention to me. Look at the cool things
clout
I'm doing."
chasing.
I don't care.
Yeah. So I chase stray animals, not clout. Oh.
all right, so have you ever tried to date someone who's the opposite, who's an offline person? Yeah. How'd that work out?
I'm engaged to one.
Oh no. Oh no.
Opposites attract.
That is bullshit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm well aware it is. Trust me. My fucking dating history. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm engaged to one. He doesn't play any games.
None?
I'm sorry, what?
He plays like Madden once in
Oh,
a
okay.
while.
Alright.
Like that's
It's
about
something,
it.
yeah.
Or like
Like,
any type of like that's it.
what does he do with his time?
So he
Yeah.
works, and when he comes home, he works Monday through Thursday, like 10 to 12-hour days. And when he comes home, he will play like a game or two, and then he'll go shower and go to bed, or eat dinner and go to bed. And then like
Damn.
on the weekends, even like his newfound hobby is I don't want to say like gunsmithing, but it kind of is. Like he likes breaking apart guns and like adding new pieces to it. We're big gun advocates, so he likes doing that, and so he'll watch YouTube videos on that. But like that's the most he uses online for, is like learning how to do more things with guns.
Smart man.
But yeah, and like he'll watch YouTube videos to go to bed, but that's about the most online thing he does. Like, or podcasts.
You don't mind my asking, how old is he?
24. He just turned 24.
You guys are babies.
Yeah, I'm 22. I'll turn 23 in September. We're both babies.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah,
Right?
I remember those days.
I remember
Actually,
those.
I don't.
But yeah,
was
we've been
yesterday.
together for 4 years, and like
Damn.
before he got his job, like when he was in college, he was playing a little bit more of games. Like he was playing
Yeah.
Fortnite or like Apex a little bit more. But even then, it wasn't like as much. Like he'd rather have like 5 TVs set up in the room and have 5 different football games playing than he would like actually play a game.
Hell no.
And not social media is non-existent. He thinks TikTok's the dumbest thing ever. He tells me I lose brain cells
Amen.
watching it.
I learned
he'll
so
go on-
much from TikTok.
He goes on Instagram just to like keep up with like football and baseball, like shit that's going on. Like that's it.
I use TikTok for like cat videos and cleaning inspiration because I'm kind of a neat freak. Yeah. But animals.
I just do like education, politics, religion, and sex.
So you make yourself miserable online mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
I will be
That
right back.
sounds
I have
like-
to go grab dinner.
All right.
Have fun. Don't fall in.
So,
I don't know.
Don't fall in.
mm, how
what could
do you
be-
make that type of relationship work? So clearly, K-Buck's figuring it out.
I know for me, my partner, he's a very strange mix of both sides of the spectrum there. Like he can do just fine online all day long, because that's kind of part of his job, is doing research and whatnot. He's a lawyer, but the rest of his life is, having to talk to clients and having to be very, very social. And me having been both homeschooled and getting all my degrees online because of social anxiety disorder, and working on, I'm very much an online person. So he's actually helped encourage me to branch out more and get out more socially, like in person. So it's actually been a really positive thing, and I'm teaching him kind of how to just sit and not be outside so much and just relax. So it's a
Like,
good combo.
take it easy. Mm-hmm.
Just relax,
That's a good
chill
combo.
out.
Kyle?
Well, and I think the whole pandemic thing really, really broke a lot of us.
Mhm.
I mean, I've told other people that I've forgotten how to people. I don't understand social interaction much anymore, unless
Living
it's
alone.
online.
Living alone was definitely difficult for
Uh-huh.
2
That's
years.
why I got a roommate.
It was me, myself, and I, and the dog. And yeah, when the only interaction that you have when you're quarantined is talking to yourself in the mirror. Yeah, it's definitely like Green Goblin, Spider-Man 1 vibes up in here. Yeah, super fun. Yep, said my therapist.
Talking to yourself the entire pandemic. You're like, I need friends. I need to talk to people.
Yeah. Mhm. My dog and I have a fun relationship now, though. She pretty much understands everything that I say, and I understand her. So it's Dr. Doolittle syndrome for sure. Right? You crazy? No, she don't care.
I don't think I've ever dated someone who did not line up with me in that sense. Because my husband is the same kind of combination as I am. I think he's less social than I am, but that's mostly a result of his medical condition. He's always tired, so he doesn't have a lot of like energy to like deal with humans.
Same.
does, he definitely would rather use that energy towards going out and like, building stuff or going biking and a lot of the things that we used to do before his health got worse and when there was the ability to do it without, having to wear a hazmat suit. But even looking back at my other partners, I've been doing the whole online thing for a really long time. Like since 2008, I was streaming and way before Twitch was a thing. And I think most of my life, it made it easier for me to be online. So everyone that I met was kind of online. So they all kind of had the same persona, but that's mostly my social anxiety talking. Yeah, I'm not online by choice. It just makes it more comfortable. And I think most of the people that I've ever engaged with in a relationship have always been like that too.
Yep. I honestly don't think I could date someone who's not online, because like your views, your perspectives, your I don't know, just everything you do, your job, everything is.
I think it gives you a better chance to bond, though. like, wouldn't you want to have two, like, would you want to be together 24/7 or be able to share those things, like share your different things?
So I have dated someone like that, but they still like post on social media and that kind of stuff, just not all the time. You know what I mean?
Vicky?
I don't know.
So my partner is, I would not consider him an online person, like hardly at all. He'll like go on Facebook to check the couple of like groups for his specific hobby, but other than that, like he never posts anything ever. Like doesn't do the doom scrolling that I do.
No, I do.
Like doesn't
for sure.
spend hours on TikTok. Like he might go on there to check a TikTok video that a friend sent, but he will not scroll it. He doesn't Twitter. He doesn't do hardly any of this stuff. Like he does just enough to support me, and like that's it. So, and it kind of actually, it gives our relationship a little bit of a, sometimes a lot of the stories I have relate to something I found online, and if I send it to him and he doesn't look at it, then like I have to explain what I saw online and then explain my thoughts about it. And honestly, that's how it is with like a lot of stuff. And yeah, it usually has to do with a TikTok or Twitter post, but like
it was funny. You had to see it.
Right. It's one of those things of like, you had to be there type of deal, or like you had to have seen the whole conversation. Like I'll bring up a thread that, had maybe 20 posts on it, and I'll have to summarize it into a couple of sentences so he doesn't get that like blank stare on his face of like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So in that case, like the people that I try to date outside of my primary relationship are primarily online people, because I can connect with them with the online things, even if we're not like always in person. So
Same. I mean,
I don't know. For me, it gives us like, this is my time and he has his time out there. Like right now he's fighting with Best Buy because Best Buy, he ordered earbuds and they didn't come today. So he's like fighting with them. And once he's done there, he's gonna go. He's gonna eat his food. He's gonna shower. He might play a game or watch a YouTube video, and then he'll go to bed. And like, if I wasn't here, I'd probably go out there and harass him for a little bit in between, and we talk about how his day was, and I'd tell him what I did on my game today or something, and he'd tell me I'm a nerd, but that's about it. Like, and that's our time to bond over things that are different.
Yes.
Like last night, I was breeding sloths on Ark, and he came in, and I'm like, "Can you pass me that paper so I can write all these down? Like, I need all these stats written down." And he's like, "Are you serious? You need to write this shit down? Like, you're such a nerd." And I'm like, "I need it perfected. I've been doing this for like 6 hours now." And he's like, "What is wrong with you?" But like, he doesn't understand it, but he still makes fun of it and enjoys it and stuff like that. So that's what we do, and it works for us because we can have our 2 separate moments, and then when we're together, we can talk about it.
I mean, I've definitely dated someone who they were like I said, they just post on social media every now and then, but for the most part, they were disconnected, and it was a nice difference that it was a reminder to slow down and like notice the little things around you. So I guess that was nice, because sometimes when you are online all the time, you get caught up in everything, and like life is rushing by while you're in your little own thought bubble while online.
I get so worked up with like drama that happens like in a community, and he's like, you do realize that these people like aren't your friends, they're just online people. And I was like, some of these are my friends, like
They're pixels.
yeah, he's like, they're just people online, like they can just walk away at any time. Like they still could
They
be
could
my
also
friends though.
come meet
I
you
was
at
like,
any time.
yeah, and I was like, and so like I get worked up over this shit, and he's like, that's so dumb. But like he brings me back to the reality of like, it's not my drama, like I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it. Like
That's good.
I feel like in-person friends can also just walk away at any time.
Yeah, they can.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the
Big mood.
bonds that I've made with people that I have met online, including my husband, are a lot stronger than any of the ones that I've made with people that I've met. Like
Exactly.
my biggest struggle is, and I'm sure you understand this, like as being a female and like traveling out to go see people, like that's a big worry. And especially now having a fiance, he's like, I'm not gonna let you just go travel out to meet people. Like that's weird. And I'm like, well then come out with me. And he's like, well, I have work, I can't take off. And I'm like, well, I gotta find some way to meet these people because I want to meet them and I want to hang out because they're people I actually truly enjoy being around. And if they lived closer, we'd be doing shit all the time because my IRL friends can't keep a plan for the life of them.
Yeah. My husband doesn't mind because he knows I'm slightly unhinged.
I think
He's like,
mine understands
"Yeah,
it
go."
as well, but
About my safety.
Go enjoy your time. Just don't stab me,
Let
please.
everybody else.
Don't light my bed on fire.
I'll do whatever you
I
want.
like
There's intent.
Uh,
I'm not
All
allowed to
right.
play with lightsaber knives.
I don't know
um,
if that's a flex or not.
so for those that want to make it work between an online and offline relationship, I think kind of like K-Buck said, like appreciate the differences. Take the time to actually be interested in each other's hobbies and interests and that kind of stuff, and appreciate what they like, what they enjoy. Don't make fun of it.
I get called a nerd 24/7.
That's
Last
right.
time he comes in, he goes,
He's
he goes,
a
"How are you
fucking nerd
so
for
hot
wanting
with
5
such a
TVs with like
nerd?"
football games on it. It's like, bro, you're just as much of a nerd. You're just a fucking sport nerd.
Yeah, you're just in a different type. Like,
Yep. All right. The percent of people having sex right now is low. Like, the last article I read, it was something like 36%, something like that, of society had sex within the past 2 years. I'll pull up a couple articles here in a second, but why do you think the percent rate of people having sex is continuing to decline, minus COVID, because of course COVID, right? But even without COVID, the numbers have been steadily decreasing over time.
I think it has to do with money a lot. I mean, people having people having straight sex. Sex sometimes leads to babies. Babies are expensive.
Yes.
so are you saying like we're doing like good pregnancy teaching, like and actually like teaching kids that
No,
having
not
sex
school.
gives you kids?
No.
Gives you baby?
Like from the numbers, I think society is scaring people away from sex. Like people are either afraid or have anxiety surrounding it now.
A lot of that's due to like being uneducated on it.
yeah.
I have a different perspective.
What is it?
Yeah.
So one, a lot of these studies, let's be fair, are somewhat biased, right? We can't really use some of the studies that are shared because it's using a very controlled group. But ignoring that, I think a lot of people are becoming more comfortable with their sexualities, and in some
True.
cases, asexuality. It is being normalized more. People are more understanding of the fact that some people do not experience sexual attraction and sexual arousal the way that others do. So we're starting, I think that's part of it. I think we're starting to see a lot more people being comfortable with the fact that they are asexual or demisexual, for example. As someone who's demi, I will not just go around having sex with anybody. So yeah,
Mhm.
theoretically speaking, if I wasn't partnered, I would be having less sex. So I think as some people become more educated and more comfortable in their own sexuality, that might decrease their frequency. And then, I mean, let's be fair, healthcare in this country isn't exactly the best. So some people might be a little bit less willing to go and have sex with randoms and things like that because STIs are a thing, pregnancy is a thing. Like there's so many things that can happen that might deter some people from going out there.
Well,
but also COVID.
So apparently, teens are launching their sex lives later from 1991 to 2017. The CDC and the Prevention's Youth Risk Behavior Survey found the percentage of high school students who'd had intercourse dropped from 54 to 40%. In other words, in the space of a generation, sex has gone from something most high school students have experienced to something most have not.
I don't think that's a bad thing, man.
I think
sounds
also,
like a good thing to me.
Yeah, high school kids, you do not have the maturity to like handle all of the consequences that could come from sex.
Yeah, kids are dumb.
Maturity, please don't.
They shouldn't be procreating.
I think there's also, I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about this before stream. I think it has a lot to do with, like we were just saying, all of us are online people. If you are meeting people, 90% of the people you are meeting and having a relationship are probably online, not close enough for you to actually do most things with. And you're not just going to fly out there within your first month of knowing this person, or at least I would hope that maybe you're a little more like lenient on that. Like you're going to like do more video calls, stuff like that, rather than just text, understand that this person's actually like a real person and not going to be like a serial killer. And then also like the time of that, like how often are you going to be traveling out there? How often are you going to, or how long are you going to do that for before like you guys merge into one? Because that has to happen at some point. And so I think online relationships are becoming a really big thing right now, which is heavily invested in the idea that it's declining in sex rates.
Damn.
Vicky, I think you had your hand up.
Well, and I also think part of it has to do with the fact that like teenagers, and yes, I'm going to specify young women because there is at least whenever I was growing up, there was like this thing over our head that like either we were a prude if we weren't having sex, or like we just had our immediate peer pressure telling us about sex and things. And I think now with like TikTok and like the sex educators that are out there, these younger girls are realizing that the relationships they're in are not healthy or normal. So they're not taking that next step into sex because they realize, hold on,
smart.
this person doesn't actually care. Like, it was one thing for mom and dad to say, hey, that boy doesn't care about you. It's a whole other thing to have strangers on the internet explaining the exact same situation that's happening to you and saying, hey, this was wrong. This isn't what should have been happening. And I think a lot of those situations being put in front of our faces more often is causing people to like take a step back and be like, well, maybe I shouldn't just be diving into these relationships. Or even worse, some of these older women are realizing, oh my God, I've never had a fucking orgasm. And like, if they wind up divorced or something, they're not going to just look for the first guy that's going to take care of them. They want to look for a guy that's going to take care of them. And so
they'll buy a sex toy before they do anything else.
Right. And on top of that, there's like
I need to
sex
update my
toys.
dating profiles.
There's like sex toys around
Like,
that
I will take
like
care of you.
can substitute.
I think sex toys are a big thing too as well.
Yeah, I mean they can substitute
provide
whenever like
sex
the
toys.
couple isn't really like clicking for a
Vibrate.
time being. Yeah, you can like or sex toys are substituting for sex for a lot of people, and I can't say I blame them with as little effort as some people are willing to put in.
I also, does it say what kind of sex? Like, is it talking about specifically intercourse?
No, all kinds.
Because I feel like maybe less people are having intercourse and just sticking to like oral sex or things like that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's still, you're having your fun, but you're also not
Having your fun.
not as risky, right? It's a safer in some senses. Like you can't get pregnant from giving a blowjob or the opposite. So there may be more people that are engaging in other types of sex, not necessarily penetration.
I really like what Vicky brought up. It was like teenagers being like educated on how like partners actually like what's benefiting and not. I listen to a lot of sex therapists or sex educators talk about on like podcasts and stuff. And I'm always recommending them to my sisters because I have two younger sisters. I'm the oldest. So they're 18 and 14. I know one just recently started having sex. The other, she doesn't even like boys at this point. So I'm like, praise the fucking Lord, like stay away from them. But like, I still like, I tell her about like things that go on in my relationship. I educate her on things from podcasts. I send them podcasts like, and it may be like a little bit me being like too personal with my sisters, but I'd rather be too personal with my sisters and like educate them and let them understand that things are good and things aren't good. So like you can tell this from your relationships you're in. And like my one sister, she was 14 and some like 22-year-old was trying to talk to her. And I was like, that's not okay. Like, no. Like, and like, so like we had to have these conversations because like if your mom tells you, like she said, like if your mom tells you, oh, that's a little weird, you're probably not gonna listen. I didn't listen to my mom ever.
Exactly.
And so having an older sister be there and be like, hey, I'm not telling you that this is wrong, but I'm telling you should listen to this and like try to relate your feelings to it as much as you can and understand whether you fit in that same category.
I like honestly you're only helping them, right? So you may be saving them years of like figuring out that shit on their own if they're actually taking advantage of the information that you're sending them and listening.
And I think that's happening in a lot of families, like of like the older sibling like sharing information and stuff passed down, or cousins or something like that in your family.
Agreed.
Honestly, one thing that I'm starting to see more in, because I have a teenage daughter and she's part of the Gay Straight Alliance at her school, and they talk so much about consent and about sexuality. And I mean, in the 7th grade, that's a big step. They certainly didn't talk about that sort of thing when I was in school. My friends didn't, like, there was no such thing as the Gay Straight Alliance. It was just you were straight and that was kind of it. I think that the more that the schools are getting involved in allowing for space for students like that, for non-binary students, for students that are just curious and want to know more information that they can't get at home, and just giving that space I think it makes a really big difference. And I think maybe some of those numbers might be showing like what the difference really is at this point. Just talking, like just talk to kids, just talk.
And how many of those kids previously were going out and having unsafe sex because they felt uncomfortable in where they were, so they were just having it with anyone they could because they didn't have a group to talk to.
So what we're saying here is that euphoria is a bunch of horseshit, and these teenagers aren't out there having all this
Yes.
So
Euphoria is nuts, but it's an amazing show.
It's so
and I think it also hits on all these topics too.
It does.
Like, even though like primarily like everyone tells me it's like soft porn. I'm like, it's not soft porn. Like, shut up.
It really isn't.
But if you watch it, there's so much more meaning behind it and like education in it. But you actually have to watch it. And you have to get past watching all the drugs and the sex, because that happens. But those are interactions that have occurred because of a past consequence. Like, you did something to have these actions occur.
I just finished watching it, and it's fresh enough in my mind to say that maybe there's like in 2 seasons 5 sex scenes. Like that's
not
it's
that
really
much.
not that bad. But they do depict sexuality, I think, pretty well for a bunch of high school kids too.
Same with
Aren't
the
they
show.
really high school kids though.
And like they went through the whole like, oh, somebody got pregnant from a guy, like, and they were supposedly having safe sex, but they really didn't, and she's now pregnant, and now she wants to go through an abortion. And like, they went through that entire process with you and how she felt in that moment and being there by herself and going through that. And like, I think that's a scene that if more teenagers watched would hit them a lot harder than us telling them like the consequences.
Yeah, there's Euphoria does a really good job of it. Who's watched Sex Education on Netflix? That's a really good show. They touch on a lot of really good topics on there. So this article goes on to say, this is by The Atlantic, When the decline started back in the 1990s, it was widely and rightly embraced, but now some observers are beginning to wonder whether an unambiguously good thing might have roots in less something developments. Signs are gathering that the delay in teen sex may have been the first indication of a broader withdrawal from physical intimacy that extends well into adulthood. Over the past few years, this psychology professor at San Diego published research exploring how and why American sex lives may be ebbing. In some journal articles and her latest book, iGen, she notes that today's young adults are on track to have fewer sex partners than members of the two preceding generations. People now in their early 20s are 2.5 times as likely to be abstinent as Gen Xers were at that age. 15% report having had no sex since they reached adulthood. Baby boomers and Gen Xers are also having less sex than previous generations. From 1990 to 2014, they found the number went down from 62 times a year to 54. And that was gathered in 2016. And since the years since then, it's plummeted even further.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody's depressed because of COVID and all this other shit that's been happening in the world. Like, you know? And the last thing I want to do when I'm depressed is, you know, do that. So
naked time. Some people use that to cope with depression.
I was gonna say sometimes it releases
sometimes
some
it helps.
shit that makes you feel better.
Right? You can feel better for like
dopamine,
maybe an hour or two.
Yeah, exactly. I have yet to find somebody that does that for me. So.
I've like seen studies that like having an orgasm like every morning or whatever is like the best way to start your day off because it like pushes you through the rest of the day. Like that could be your caffeine in the morning. Like
there you go. What?
Well, looks like I have a new morning regimen.
Really, really great before bed because you sleep really well after dinner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Morning and night, they say like is like the best thing to do.
Well, you need something to get through the midday hump too. You know, it's like your 2 o'clock.
Start taking a lunch
The
break.
midday hump, you're like, all right, that meeting's done. Let me bust one out real quick.
So instead of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we're gonna have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner orgasm.
I'm all for it.
3 times a day. Keeps the doctor away.
Get over the hump by humping.
Keeps the depression away.
I have no more depression. That's crazy. I just
That's the tagline for positive thoughts. I feel like
what? have
like, have 3 orgasms a day keeps the doctor away.
orgasms a day keeps the doctor
You'd be
away.
like,
It's perfect.
so how do you get better? It's like, well, I've been self-medicating, and they're like, with what? Pot? No, orgasm.
Orgasms.
You should try it. It's great.
Yep, with my 5 fingers.
Oh.
I wonder with those numbers that they're stating, how I know that there's such a high number of people that have experienced points of their lives where they've been peer pressured into sex. And it was some like, I remember reading it a long time ago, but I can't remember what the exact number was. It was some ridiculously high number. If those numbers are going down as well, and maybe there's a correlation there between just there's more talk about it, more talk about consent, more talk about bodies and being empowered and things like that. If maybe a lot of that is just numbers naturally going down because there's less peer pressure to have sex to begin with.
Yeah, that could be playing into it as well. This person says, for a quarter century now, fewer people have been marrying, and those who do have been marrying later. At first, many observers figured that the decline in marriage was explained by an increase in unmarried cohabitation, living together. Yet the share of people living together hasn't risen enough to offset the decline in marriage. About 60% of adults under age 35 now live without a spouse or a partner. They basically, TLDR, they attribute the sex decline partly to a decline in couplehood among young people. Which makes sense partly because I know some people get into a relationship just for sex. Like they feel like they can't be honest to get sex. They'll just jump into a relationship for sex.
Yeah, we call those fuckboys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask who these women are, but you know.
Becky,
Go ahead.
Well, and I was gonna say that like like modern people don't really fully believe in marriage because it's a government institution. And a lot of people are like, why is the government trying to be in my personal life? Like, why do I have to have this? Like, strictly speaking, I wouldn't be married right now if it weren't for benefits that only happen if you get married. So like, you know, I think that there's less of that going around, that people feel a little bit less like they have to have a married life partner or even a partner in general. I mean, the whole like girl boss thing has become a much bigger thing. So we're more relying on ourselves than partners. So I think it's a combination of all that, really.
Well, I mean, if you also think about historically, let's be fair, if we look at how women were used, they were used as currency. We were used as currency. We were used as a means for people to acquire more property, more land, more money. And as the socioeconomic things have changed and our statuses have changed, and women have become more independent and self-sufficient, we aren't being used as currency as much, because we're now in control of that, right? So we don't have arranged marriages anymore, things like that were driving up those numbers. I also think there's a lot of emergence of the ethical non-monogamy type of relationships, polyamory. Can't get married to more than one person because it's illegal. So you just choose to not marry at all and just have, you know, long-term life partnerships. Think about how many gay couples couldn't get married until recently. That would have also driven down numbers of marriage.
True.
You couldn't get, even if you did get married, you couldn't get the benefits of being in a same-sex partnership. So I think there's a lot of reasons that drove marriage down, not necessarily having to do with sex. I think a lot of it was just people were tired of the way that, you know, they were either being used, manipulated, or controlled through marriage.
And on that, I will say a lot of those studies don't typically include members of the LGBT community because of whatever reason. So, like, there could be plenty of people that are just not having heterosex. So that's not even being counted, you know? Like, that's a whole different demographic that's probably not even being taken into account here.
Yeah.
If we're using especially government data, so if we're looking at like the census and things like that, they haven't adjusted to represent LGBTQ plus communities. They haven't really adjusted to represent different types of sexualities and arrangements and things like that. So I think a lot of that data is going to be skewed because a lot of these changes have come about over the last couple of years, and we know our government's not very efficient with collecting data or anything.
What? No way.
What? Really?
It's crazy.
I know.
So they listed a bunch of other reasons. They said, over the course of many conversations with sex researchers, psychologists, economists, sociologists, therapists, sex educators, and young adults, I heard many other theories about what I've come to think of as the sex recession. I was told it might be a consequence of hookup culture, of crushing economic pressures, of surging anxiety rates, of psychological frailty, of widespread antidepressant use, of streaming television, of environmental estrogens leaked by plastics, of dropping testosterone levels, of digital porn, of the vibrator's golden age, of dating apps, of option paralysis. Makes sense.
Sounds about right.
Of helicopter parents, of careerism, of smartphones, of the news cycle, of information overload generally, of sleep deprivation or obesity. Name a modern blight and someone somewhere is ready to blame it for messing with the modern libido.
So basically being alive.
Yeah. So if you're alive right now and living in society, you're probably having less sex.
If you have a pulse. No.
Well, fuck.
All right. Good times.
Now more depressed. Great.
There was one other thought I had too about that. I remember when I was growing up, I was told 50% of all marriages end in divorce.
Yeah.
And if everybody gets told that growing up, are we not terrified of getting married? That's why we have this whole like, well, I don't really want to be in a relationship because what if it ends? And like, there's lots of fear surrounding being in a committed relationship. And typically it requires a committed relationship to get into the intimacy part of
I'm terrified.
a lot of. Well, and
Marriage
yeah, a lot of
might
people are
divorce.
terrified of it. Like
Since
half of my
marriage
marriages
is
ended in divorce.
since marriage is 50-50, that was part of the reason I used to justify to myself, like, okay, it's 50-50 anyway. Like, fuck it, I'm gonna be ethically non-monogamous. Then I'm not I'm not going the monogamous route. Fuck it. Got a 50-50 shot anyway, so.
I don't know. I feel like it also like you said, like if we're all being told that, I feel like it adds to like the self-destruction of relationships as well, because a lot of people have gone through so many relationships that have ended, and so that they know where their timer ends. Like almost they say like, oh, like I've never made a relationship past 6 months or a year,
kind of
and
bring
then
it to
once it
fruition.
gets to that point, they like start self-destructing. And I've watched it in so many friends. Like I'm everyone in my friends groups like person to dump all their shit on, and so like they come to me for that, and he's like, oh, like my girlfriend's like telling me how like we're at like 6 months and like she's never made it to that and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, I get that, but like, is it worth sitting there and fighting through that self-destruction, or is it worth just letting her do her self-destruction?
Well, also, so it's kind of proving the concept of like manifesting, and you bring about what you focus on, right? If you're focusing on the wrong shit, that is the direction you're going to go, whether it's something you want in your life or not want in your life. If you're focused on it, that's the direction you're going to go.
And when you tell your partner that, I feel like then your partner only thinks about that too. Like, because like now you've got it in your partner's mind that like
now you
can't
both
go
are thinking
past a
about it.
certain-
Now you're actively looking for things that are like, oh, see, this ain't gonna work. Yeah, see, we don't match. We don't get along. We're arguing. Yeah. Nope. 100%.
I think biology also has a big role to play in this, right? Marriage is more of a social legal construct. Inherently, humans tend to be closer to bonobo monkeys when it comes to sexuality than anything else. We are one of the few species that have sex because we enjoy it. And monogamy wasn't always our thing. So I think if we look at what our nature is as a species, it's not mostly monogamous. It's actually mostly non-monogamous. So I think as we are becoming more comfortable with ourselves, we are also more comfortable with the idea that we do not have to be married to have strong bonds and strong relationships. And you can have those with multiple people.
Nope. I think
bonobo monkeys have sex for any reason. They're like, oh, the leaf fell. It's fall. Let's all have sex. Great.
Leaf fell. The wind blew.
Honestly, that's the way we used to be before religions took over.
They're one of the species, like the primate species, that actually display bisexuality.
Oh.
It's very interesting. I love bonobos. They're great.
Don't dolphins do it too? Something like that.
Dolphins fuck everything.
Dolphins also use blowfish as a drug.
Yeah, they'll use it as a drug, and don't they? There's like they've been witnessed fucking like a fish corpse or something before. And it's like,
they're a little rapey. They also like they'll use blowfish and they'll like pass it along like a joint, and they'll get high.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck?
I swear.
Yeah.
Legit a thing.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Don't fuck with dolphins.
They look cute and cuddly.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They're nice. They're great animals. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're. I think the more evolved species get, the more you see those types of things.
So, out of all the reasons that we listed off, right, that it could possibly be that people aren't having sex, what ways would you recommend that people can get out there and start exploring safely, ethically, all that good shit?
Don't ask me.
He's like, you tell me.
No.
For sale, I actually mentioned you in I have a women's health class, and I mentioned you in my women's health class. At least I think it was you. You were talking about an app that you use to test for STIs and STDs, right? Was that you? It was you. Yep. And I mentioned that, and I was like, yeah, like you can use an app, like, and it sends it out to you. You take the test, you send it back, it pumps up on your app and everything. Bro. And she was like, that is crazy. And I was like, yeah. I was like, and there's people that do this, and like, we were talking about how like. I believe that like it's more people who are in like either polyamorous relationships or somewhere on the spectrum of like the LGBTQIA that actually test more than heterosexual people.
Like you understand that if you want to enjoy the things that you enjoy, you have to be serious about your like sexual health.
And we were talking about that, and I think that's a big thing that we should like encourage people to do, because I think that is we mentioned that as one of the reasons of like why people might be afraid to do so. And I think testing more frequently, especially among men, because I feel like most time men don't get tested. Women at least get tested yearly, but men don't ever. So the idea of getting tested more than once a year for females as well, like.
Yep. I like, honestly, if it was every 6 months, that would be great. That would help weed out a lot of like STDs and STIs and that kind of stuff. Jojo, go ahead.
So as far as the STI testing, this is for everyone who cannot afford maybe to use an app or something like that, because they are more expensive. At-home tests are going to be more expensive. Planned Parenthood, Latino Salud, there's a lot of places where you can go and get either low cost or free STI testing. If you have health insurance, you can actually go to your doctor and have them run blood work. It's part of just the blood work that you can have them run. It is covered by your insurance. They will test you for STIs. So like, you are not limited to just doing it, once a year when you go to the gynecologist or anything like that. You can request those things when you go to your doctor, and there's a lot of places where you can get it for free. Or very low cost. I think the other thing that might help people have sex more often is being more honest and open about what their needs and wants are. For a very long time, I feel like women were told not to express those things because it would make them come across a certain way. Men were usually kind of encouraged to kind of, boys will be boys, all of these things. And it created a lack of communication, I think, amongst a lot of people. We were also, a lot of us were shamed for the idea of being a woman who was sexually confident and who wanted to, maybe just meet somebody to have sex with them because you were a slut or this or that. So I think when people are more honest with themselves and more honest with the people that they are engaging with, and I think honest with yourself is a big one. It makes a huge difference. So I think if people start to be a little bit more open and communicative about their needs and their wants, it's going to change the outcome of their interactions.
I tell everyone communication's key. If you can't have communication, you shouldn't be having sex, because if you can't relay like what you want, then you're not going to be enjoying sex.
The amount of people that can't talk about it, that won't talk about it, that are uncomfortable talking about it, or think that like, no, you should just be able to read my mind from my moans and grunts and shit. You should just automatically know what I like, how I like it, and when I like it. Duh.
I think the other thing as well is not enough people point out what they don't like while they're doing it.
Yes.
And it comes them off from it, right? You have an experience, you don't feel comfortable enough to tell the person, hey, can we do something else? Or I'm not enjoying this much.
Yeah.
Like, you need, because it affects your experience, and it also affects your desire to do it again. So we need to be more comfortable telling people what we're enjoying in the moment and what we're not. And we also need to be more comfortable taking that information in as not an attack on your person, but rather someone expressing a boundary and a desire.
I believe that 1000%. And also, we need to get away from the being so butthurt when somebody says, ooh, don't do that, I don't like that. Okay, fine.
What do you like?
Exactly. Exactly.
And that was my next point, was going to say, like, whether it be male or female, if your partner's telling you like that they don't like something, you shouldn't be offended or make them feel bad for saying that they don't like it. Like, accept that and stop doing what you're doing and try to find something else that you both may enjoy together.
Yep.
Compromise.
Like Jojo was saying, I've run into it a lot in my life as well. Like, if you are good at reading body language, you can pick up on it if someone's like uncomfortable or in pain, that kind of stuff. And the amount of times that like I've asked and be like, does is that hurting? Like, do you want to change? Like, is this uncomfortable? And they're like, yeah, can we do something else? I'm like, fucking say something.
Why didn't you
like,
just say it? Like,
bro,
just tell
if I'm
me.
uncomfortable in sex, I'm going to let you know. Hey, it's cold. Hey, fucking, I'm not comfortable in this position. Like, I'm just going to tell you.
Right.
Well, and we do it with so
please.
many other things. Like for instance, whenever I'm doing somebody's hair, if I notice that their face changes at all in that mirror,
ask them.
I'm like,
hey.
am I doing something wrong? Why aren't we doing that during sex? Like,
Exactly.
It's really important to communicate that kind of stuff.
Agreed.
Jojo.
I just had a thought. With the prevalence of social media, online porn, and a lot of things, I think there's something else that a lot of people. Sorry about the cattail.
It's not.
Let me
his
see
butthole, so that's
right.
Improvement.
I was just waiting for the cat butthole to like pop in screen. It was just inevitable.
He's like, look at my starfish.
You have a cat around, you're going to see a butthole.
Yep.
With the prevalence of social media, influencers, porn, things like that, I think people are also feeling a little bit more self-conscious. Not just about their bodies, but also the size of their penises, the appearance of their vulvas, things like that. And a lot of people are thinking that you can only experience pleasure if you look like that way, have a certain size penis, and working in the adult industry, I cannot like blame it on my industry because I think it helps a lot of people, but I think that we forget that is just fake. It's fiction. Instagram is fiction. Influencers are fiction because it's all edited and things like that. So we've created this idea that the only way that you can have pleasurable, like, good sex is if you have a 9-inch penis and you look like Cindy Crawford. So when people start to understand that pleasure has nothing to do with what you look like, it will help them. And also remember, especially this is for the gentlemen or the penis owners, there are many things that you can do to change and adjust and shift the pleasure that you receive and the pleasure that you give your partner, regardless of what your member may be. And for vagina owners, again, there's a lot of things that you can do that it is not just intercourse. So I think more confidence in ourselves and our right to pleasure, regardless of.
I think on top of not even just like the image of like how people look in said videos or pictures, I think it's also like how they're having sex. I think a lot of people look into that and they're like, especially like the sounds and the faces that some of them are making, they're like, oh, they need to do this and that's how you tell. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. Or like a certain position and they're like, ooh, 10 out of the 20 videos I watched today all did this position, so I need to go do this position. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, everybody is different. Like, everybody works together differently. I'm not saying like, yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Or like this week I watched, like, not even just day, but if you're watching a lot of it and you're saying like, oh, like this is a common thing or this is a common position or common movement, like that I should be doing it, that doesn't always work. And if you try it and it doesn't work, you shouldn't be shut down completely. Try something else.
Yeah.
You can literally do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and to further bring home the point that, you know, a lot of this is fiction. A lot of these male porn stars are drinking, they're taking pills, they're using pumps, they're doing things to last longer, to make themselves be bigger. Those are things that are also accessible to everyone else. You can go to your local adult store and you can find things that are going to help you with that. But, you know, you're watching these movies that are an hour and a half long, not realizing that these shoots last for 9 hours. And they take several breaks in between. And really, if you look at how much time they're actually having sex, it's maybe 15, 30 minutes, right? Unless it's like amateur stuff. It's film, right? It is acting. So yeah, most of these people aren't having sex for an hour and a half straight. They're not having these.
They aren't?
You're saying no.
I mean, I am. I don't know about. No.
They've determined that
Pump
the
chump.
average length of time that most people enjoy actual intercourse is about 15 minutes. not counting foreplay, not counting all of the other stuff. About 15 minutes of like actual intercourse.
That's it.
And like honestly, imagine like rubbing on somebody for that long and how like
No.
an hour and a half, like, and how unpleasurable that has to get at
No.
some point. Like how
why
much
you use
lube are you
copious amounts
going
of lube.
through?
Copious
how much
amounts of lube, I
are you
promise.
going through to make it enjoyable to last an hour and a half? Like you have to be going through so
Dehydrated.
much. Yeah.
Hydration, you need a snack. Let's
Yeah.
take a break.
Let's watch a movie.
Cramping, like imagine
Go walk. My legs cramped. And the older you get, your muscles don't work the same way. Like
I had my
dog food.
first
Boy, howdy.
leg cramp the other day, and it was like that I like vividly can remember, and it hurt so much. I like laid in bed for like a good hour. I was like, "Don't touch me, leave me alone. This hurts so much."
Well, and like half the things you run into say that sex is one of like the best cardio workouts you can get. Like, think about your most intense cardio workout, and if you're trying to do that for more than 15 minutes, you are killing yourself. Like, think about just like the actual mechanics of your body. Like, bodies are not meant to go that hard for that long without a break. It's
I
just
I feel like I just did a psycho class after I have sex.
Yeah.
That and all the
I
inner
run
body
honestly.
shit. Like for women, like your uterus is all contracting, like everything is contracting during that. Like that's a lot of effort on the inside of your body that is happening. Do you think that like your body's meant to last forever doing that? No, like
No, I run 10 feet and I sound like Darth Vader after.
Exactly,
So there's no
like-
way in
ran up the
hell I'm-
stairs earlier and almost
Right.
died. Like,
Right.
so 15 minutes of intense
hell?
cardio.
more than enough.
No,
more
thank
than enough.
you.
Like I'm
Right,
good
get
at.
off me.
I don't even need that much. Like maybe 5 minutes.
Man, y'all are no fun.
5 to 10, I'm good. Tapping out.
Yeah. So, but like movies make it seem as well like it's this whole thing. And I think it's just creating a very false idea and view of what sex is.
Yeah, you're going to be very disappointed if you watch movies.
Yeah.
like-
You're like,
Yeah.
all these women are having like, you know, like a 3-minute sex scene. All of a sudden they've had an orgasm and it's the
Like
best orgasm.
earth shattering.
works.
Yeah.
It's like, guys.
Or all the movies that they orgasm at the same time and they're like, it's like happens every single time. Like that doesn't
Bro.
happen. Like that's not a real thing.
And like all of these times, it's their first time having sex together and
Uh-huh.
it's magically perfect.
It's not
Fuck
awkward.
no.
Right.
That is not realistic.
It's horrible.
I can't think of many first times that have been that mind shattering. Like, come on.
My first time was horrendous. My first time having sex, I don't even want to think about that as my first time having sex because it was horrendous.
I'm even just talking about the first time with any new partner.
Mm-hmm. Because
Oh,
Those
yeah.
of us who have had more than one, but it's awkward, and you're like just learning each other and how each
Especially-
other responds. Like
especially
unless
if
you
you're-
guys have played a lot before,
Mhm.
you're not gonna know. And like a lot of times, who's playing a lot before they're just diving into it? Like it doesn't happen all that often either.
Normally,
Oh,
right
that's
before you
sad.
go into
That's
your
the
first
fun
time
part,
having
though.
sex.
Right, exactly. Like I remember like high school it was way different. You had multiple play sessions before like you managed to secure that one time and mom and dad's not home. Like that just doesn't happen as much when you're an adult though.
No, you're playing and then you're hoping that sex is the end goal of that. You're not just playing to go home. Like, no.
We're playing
That
to
was a
win,
very
damn
late
it.
bloomer.
Which by the way, I think playing just for fun should be a more common practice. 'Cause playing with
Amen.
sex as the end goal
Agreed.
in mind
People
is
don't.
so frustrating. You're like, I just want to make out with you for an hour. Like, can I do that?
The idea that sex always has to lead to an orgasm for it to be pleasurable is ridiculous.
Yep.
You can have amazing, mind-blowing sex without having an orgasm and feel completely satisfied afterwards. And
Tell that to my exes. I'm just kidding. Don't tell that to my.
My friend I was talking about earlier came to me about his girlfriend, and he was like, when we first started having sex, it was like all the time. It was a regular thing, which happens in most relationships. Once you start having sex, you fuck like rabbits. And then he was like, it weared off. And he was like, she told me that it feels like we're literally just having sex with the goal of getting each other off. And I was like, well, is there a connection there? I was like, because typically, no offense, that is kind of the goal of sex is to get each other off. But like, there also is a connection there. There's some type of intimacy there,
fun with
especially
it.
in a relationship.
Experiment.
Like, that's what I said. Like, bring toys in the room. Like, find a new
If it
kink
ain't
you
fun,
guys
you're not
like.
doing it right.
Like,
to take the pressure off of people who do have trouble with climax, right? People on antidepressants, people who just have a hard time with climaxing. You can still have pleasurable experiences without having orgasms. I think that the idea of setting that goal of, and there's nothing worse than that question at the end after you've had sex is, did you come?
Did you come?
And then the person going yes or no, and then you determining what the experience felt like for that person based on whether that one thing happened during that session. It's about the intimacy, it's about the connection, it's about the fun. So setting that goal, saying, well, if you didn't have an orgasm, you didn't have fun, is putting a lot of pressure on, I think, everyone.
That and penetration doesn't typically get women off. So like bring toys in, like bring other stuff in. Like I always have a toy on standby.
Mouth,
like toys are on standby at all times. And I'm like, this isn't feeling right. Let me just grab this. This will make this better. Like,
there you go.
And like, and he knows, like he's completely okay with that. But there's definitely guys that are like, I don't know about that. Like, and you have to be open to these ideas. Like
there are guys that are like, no toys. I should be the only thing that gets you off. It's like, bro, that's sad.
Unless you're really good with your fingers, bro.
I know your sex life is real sad.
Right.
Yep.
So when I was doing the whole, there was a brief moment in time during our non-monogamy that I attempted to engage with other males, and I realized very quickly that I don't have a patience for it anymore. I had one guy who I explained what my job was and what the industry that I worked in, and his idea and his view on sex toys was that it was something that people who had been married for a really long time and were in boring lives with like boring sex lives, it was the only thing that they could do to save their marriage. And I literally said, well, clearly we are not well suited for each other, because if you don't bring out a sex toy the first time we have sex, I don't want to have sex with you. And it's not an uncommon point of view. I think a lot of people, not just men, think that sex toys is a last resort, or it's,
it's an insecurity thing.
Yeah.
It's called a toy for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can be replaced by a sex
you can
toy
replace me.
It's an action figure, okay? It's not a toy.
It's not a doll. It's an action figure.
Right.
Thank you.
Actually, so in the industry, we actually prefer like pleasure aids or like things like that. But honestly, I think if people are so insecure that they think they can be replaced by silicone,
right,
then what do you bring to the relationship?
Exactly.
Zero
Like,
personality. At that point,
no
then.
personality, no like I need reliance. Like I need, hey, like I can count on you for X, Y, and Z. Like in a relationship, like I need you for these things. Like I joke all the time, like the internet stops working, and he's like, you should just reset the router, and I'm like, yeah, but you do it so much better, because like that's your job, is like working on like the internet and like the shit like that. Like he's like, it's literally a button. He's like, you press the button, and I'm like, yeah, but you do this so much better. And like he'll threaten me at night, like if I'm loud and screaming when he's like going to bed and I'm in here, he'll be like, I'll cut the Ethernet cable and I'll take all the shit, I'll leave all the shit out for you to fix it, but like you have to fix it. Like I'm fucked. Like what am I supposed to do then? Like, but like I am always like, you have to have something in your partner that you like rely on, that you need them for, like, or what's the point of them being there? Like they're supposed to be your person that you can go to when you need something.
Boredom.
Not to mention, I haven't found an actual toy yet that will hold me. So
True.
like,
My dog does a pretty good job, but only when she wants.
My dildo can't hold me afterwards. Like, it gets the job done, but like it can't make me feel warm and comfortable.
Like hold me afterwards. Yeah.
Jojo probably knows
back.
a dildo that can hold you after.
She does.
Maybe.
She has it.
I'm sorry.
And don't show it on stream. Please.
That's all I heard. Jojo with dildos. I was like, I'm being beckoned.
You're like, yes. Someone said dildos.
You said there's no
saying
dildo that can hold you after sex.
Yeah. And I said, you probably know of one.
Sometimes you just don't want to be held. You want to be able to go, oh, that was gross. I'm ashamed of what I did. And
Back on the shelf for you. Next to the elf.
No, it goes in the dirty bin, so you can wash it later.
Ew.
Dirty bin.
Just toss it in the dishwasher. It's fine.
Do not toss me, please.
I'm fucking kidding. I'm kidding. Do not throw your shit in the dishwasher, please.
Unless it's glass. You can put glass in the dishwasher.
Oh God, no. I wouldn't put that. Mm-mm.
Don't.
Nope.
Please use a toy cleaner. Your vagina, your
Sanitize
penis,
that shit.
your body
Literally.
will thank you for toy cleaner.
Yes. Yes, it will.
Obviously, I was joking.
I would hope so.
All right, so we were talking about how would you recommend people that want to have more sex go about doing it and getting back out there. I would say if it's been a while, educate yourself. Like we said earlier, consent, protection, visit a fucking toy store and experiment, even by yourself, like alone, and then meet somebody, like go on a dating app, actually plan to grab dinner with no intentions of sex or anything, just to like talk and see if you all connect. And then if you do, you can decide afterwards, text each other like, hey, you want to exchange STI results and then meet up. Like that's it. That's all you have to do.
That's hot.
But I'll also add to that, don't go into a relationship or on a date with just sex on your mind. Like, if you're wanting to have more sex, it actually should not be at the forefront of your brain, because inevitably you're going to come off a little bit creepy or desperate if sex is the forefront of your brain. Connection should be at the forefront, and trying to figure out what might make somebody like more romantically into you. Those are things that you could like focus on, because then if somebody has any kind of connection, there is a higher chance of sex.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. K, you can go ahead and then I'll go.
There was actually an exercise that I did during my sex ed training courses that
Kegels?
it was it made me feel really kind of almost weird, because I've never done this with anyone before, but where you had a partner, and this was over Zoom, so it's kind of even more awkward, right? But you look your partner in the eye and you think about the word no. And then as you're thinking about the word no, give yourself a good minute thinking about the word no, but then say yes. And think about how your body feels in that moment, like the physical sensation that you go through. What does it feel like to say yes to something that you truly inside want to say no to? And then reverse it. What does it feel like to think about the word yes and to say no, and get really comfortable with what those feelings are like? So when you are in that conversation or when you are with somebody, you are more in tune with your body, and you can truly feel what an enthusiastic yes, enthusiastic consent, or what I prefer engaged consent over the word enthusiastic personally. Mm-hmm. But to what does that feel like in your body? And that can really help when you are in that moment of, wow, is this something right for me to be doing? Do I really want to jump in bed with this person? Do I want to go further with this person? What does it actually feel like, so you can make the best, most informed consent decision? And then I think that kind of builds on a better foundation, because you're more in tune with what you truly need and know how to vocalize that and feel more comfortable vocalizing that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's an interesting exercise.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was super weird to do that for 5 minutes with a total stranger.
Yeah,
but it was very like, wow, that was eye-opening. I say yes a lot when I really want to say no. And that's something I had to learn how to figure out when I'm talking to, my dom. Like, how do I vocalize this and really know what this means for myself and feel comfortable enough to say no to something, or feel comfortable enough to say yes, fuck yes, I want to do this. Yeah. There you go.
Kate, you can go ahead. I'll go after you.
All right. This may be like counterproductive in a way, but like for the other partner in this scenario. But when I got out of a really bad relationship and I was just trying to figure out who I was and where I was, I very much needed that like encouragement to tell me that what I'm doing is right and that I am a good person, or that I look the certain way or whatever. And so I went on dating apps and I swiped on all these guys, and like, with no intent of anything more than just talking with them. But you get all this, you get the education of one, talking to somebody, and then you get validation from these people of like saying like, yes, you're beautiful, or oh, like I want to do X, Y, and Z. Like it makes you feel like better about yourself, so that when you're in that situation with a person, like, you know, like you deserve these things. Like you don't deserve to be degraded or like be told that you're not worthy of something. But like it may not be beneficial to the other person that you're just using for this validation, but it is a way to like get that sort of validation and get that experience of like knowing like what your worth is and what your worth isn't. Because at that time I had no worth. I thought I was literally meant to get the shit end of the stick every time, and I worked myself up from that to be like, no, I am an amazing person and I'm a badass bitch and I deserve the fucking world. Like, if you're not going to give that to me. But it was in a relationship that I had in high school that like I went through for 3 years of like physically and mentally abusive, like, and by the time I got out of that, I just needed to figure out who I was. And that's when dating apps were coming out, and I was on Tinder swiping on every person and like, hey, what's up, where are we going, like, how's this work? Like, I was like freshly 18 at the time. Like, I was like, oh, this is great, like I feel amazing right now. But like, it makes you understand and be able to communicate with people a lot better.
It does.
Especially if you have no like commitment to it.
So for the people that are trying to put themselves out there, to touch on something that Big Doll said about like not going out with sex on your mind, I am a huge advocate for the pre-date masturbation, because you get that out of your head. You have that, those chemicals have already been dumped in there. You're less likely to make bad choices, not even bad choices, but you're less likely to come across a little bit more like desperate or whatever the term you may want to use if you've already gotten that out of your system.
So something about marry yourself.
I guess, yeah.
Isn't that the scene in Something About Mary?
Yes, that's from Something About Mary.
Okay.
And then there's the whole like thing on the ear. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Don't do that though.
That is one of those things where, like, you know what? If you are going to go out on a date and it has been a while since you haven't had sex with someone, go ahead and, you know, take care of yourself before you go on that date. But also, don't be like, I feel like there's so much stuff out there about like never have sex on the first date or don't make out on the first date. Like all of these things. You know what? If you connect with someone and that person and both of you are on the same page and you want to have sex on the first date, do it. I mean, be safe.
What you feel right.
You know, like what the situation might be. But if you are both consenting adults and that's what you want to do on your first date, do it. It's nobody's business what you do with your sex life. It really isn't. So just be comfortable and willing to get what you want and express the things that you want and your needs, because that's the only way that you're going to get what you want.
Big truth.
I agree.
That was good.
Do what you want and what feels right in the moment. Like, don't like push yourself into anything, and don't hold yourself back from anything. Like, and if the other person is like willing to do it, then you got it. Like, go for it. But like, obviously, understand that you might be in that headspace, but they might not be. They might not be ready to pass that stigmatization yet, because they've been heavily influenced by that stigma of like, don't do this and that on the first date. So be understanding of them as well.
There's always a second date or a third date or a fourth date. So
or a date just for having sex. Like if that's what your goal is, like, hey, let's meet, let's talk, whatever, like have our date, and then be like, all right, like, hey, next date, like I really like you, really connected, like I don't know if you're on the same page, but like we should probably meet up at a house this time instead of at a restaurant, like something like that.
Yeah.
Or coffee.
Yep.
Yeah.
Coffee. Hey, do you want to watch Netflix?
Exactly. Hulu and
Pretty sure 99% of people know what that means.
If I invite you to my house to watch Netflix, I legit want you to watch fucking Netflix with me.
She's not wrong.
Like, this is not an invitation to get laid. We're watching movies together.
I will only use the full phrase Netflix and chill if that's literally what I mean, because everybody knows the full phrase. But if I say watch Netflix, I'm with JoJo. Like, we're watching Netflix, bro.
Hell no. Netflix and chill.
Absolutely not. Sometimes you start that movie and then you get distracted and then you have to go back and watch another part of it.
Yeah, there's
See, if
no
it happens
show.
naturally and organically, I'm not upset. I can always rewatch the show.
Yeah,
So you
But-
choose a movie that like both of you have already seen or something, or a
Exactly.
TV show that you've already seen, or a
Exactly, just
TV show
some
you don't really
background
care
noise.
about.
but for me,
Disney
I can't
Plus
have the
comes
TV on
first.
though,
That's the thing.
so I'll fucking watch TV. Like I will.
We've always got
I will
something
be
on.
mid. Something will distract me. A noise, a joke, something. The ADHD, I'll fucking like catch little blips of it and it throws me off. Hell no.
Music, no TV during sex, because that's an automatic like, oh, what's happening?
Right? Exactly. Hell no.
I feel like that makes it
You
entertaining
just
though. Like if you're with a long-term partner and like something happens on TV and you guys both,
You both
stop
laugh,
and you're like,
or
you're
yeah,
laughing, and
You're
then you go
laughing at
back
a
to having
joke or
sex.
something that was said. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's just entertainment at that point.
I would say for people wanting to get back out there, go follow some sex positive content creators. So people who do podcasts or post informational like sex ed or relationship, dating, all those kind of posts with good information, and go follow some of them. That way your feed starts getting filled with some of that information that I'm sure you'll need. So instead of reading stuff all at once and learning about it, you can learn bit by bit as you scroll through social media. Jojo?
I gotta leave in like 10 minutes.
Oh, you're good.
So
Okay.
yeah, I'll probably just jump off so to not interrupt the flow, but just letting you know.
All right. Let's see. Sub next door, you mentioned you were reading some interesting books earlier. You
I am.
want to talk about them? What are they
I
about?
have this one, the first one. Oh, where did you go? Hold on. Ah! This is called Technical Glitches.
We can see.
Yeah, I can see you.
So,
Anyway, so the leather couch. This one's about clinical practice with kinky clients, and this is probably like one of the best books I think I've ever read, next to The Ethical Slut or Come As You Are. This has been absolutely phenomenal because it gives backgrounds of 215 people that took a survey in 2019 on the different like their identities in the BDSM and kink world. And it gives a lot of background about who they are, experiences that they've shared, how it's actually improved their lives. And it's meant for clinicians, but honestly, everything in here, like this is information I think everybody should read, just because it talks about consent, the wheel of consent, different uses for the wheel of consent, and how this, she is a licensed social worker, and she developed a whole worksheet for kinky couples and people that identify as kinky to go through and really understand what they need out of a scene, what they need out of a relationship, how that relationship impacts other areas of their life, and how that relationship in a DS dynamic can impact like their relationships and careers. So it's really insightful, and I highly recommend that one. The other one that I'm just starting on is called Power Circuits, and it's polyamory and power dynamics. This one was recommended to me by the president of ASECT, and it came highly recommended by her, so I'm very excited to read it. But about people that are polyamorous and in poly relationships, and how they develop their DS dynamics and communicate and whatnot.
Oh.
So those are the two
And
that I'm.
that was called
knee-deep
Leather
in.
Couch, you said?
The leather
The
couch
one?
and
The last one?
yeah,
Okay.
the leather couch.
And you can get those
And
on
the-
Amazon?
Yeah, overnight they came super fast.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. K, because you seem to like books like that, I think one that I started reading this and I love it. It's called Polysecure.
Yes, I just started that one. I just started an audiobook. I'm like 2 chapters in right now, and I'm already like, wow, this is really eye-opening. I'm trying to get Big Daddy to listen to it.
You started on Kindle? The audiobook, did you get it on the Kindle?
Yes, I did.
There is a supplement on the Kindle. I didn't know that there was, and that's where you can get all the worksheets for the book. So if you open your Kindle app, there'll be a supplement, and you can get all the worksheets and all of like the actual stuff that she discusses in the book.
That's awesome. Okay. Sorry, I'm like nerding out big time right now. Thank you so much. I'm excited. But yeah, those are that's been kind of my world lately. There's a few case studies that I actually found to supplement a lot of this information about the neurobiology and neuroscience of BDSM and how it works within a scene, how it where the different receptors are, how it attacks or turns on your opiate receptors and gives you that high and all. Like, it's, I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. I am such a
like
damn
We all
nerd.
are.
we all like learning
Yeah.
about this stuff. Like, that's the
Allie
The whole point.
Catton in chat is asking what the name of the second book was. Was that Power Circuit? Is that what it was?
power circuit.
Yeah, Power Circuits, Polyamory, and a Power Dynamic by Raven Caldera.
And your reading stuff is a lot different than what I read. That is for sure. It's like, check this out. Ready? Here.
Gun
How to
safety.
talk to
Hey,
your kid about gun safety. Oh my god.
Way different.
I have that book.
PX Bullet had that
I
and was
have that
actually
book.
reading it on stream and like as a meme, like and like talking to her cat, like telling her
It's
cat, like
I love
Amazing book. Totally different than what it is. See you,
Oh
Jojo.
god.
That was a wave goodbye.
Hi guys.
See ya.
Bye Jojo. Dr. K, do you have a Twitch? What's your Twitch handle?
my Twitch handle is the Queen of Hearts 1031.
That's
I need to change that. I made that so long ago before I actually like started in the world of sex ed, and I can't change it now. So they won't let me.
Queen of Hearts 321.
1031.
1031. There we go. All right.
That's weird that they won't let you.
I think I have to write them, and that means I have to people, and peopling is hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is-
I have a hard enough
Yeah.
time making a doctor's appointment, you know. Y'all are me being here, y'all. I trust you guys, but talking to like people out there is hard.
I
Aren't you a
100%
doctor?
did that. I literally
Mhm.
just got a job, and like to get the job, I had to get a physical done, and because of my age, I was still technically under the pediatrician, but they told me because I was in college, they were like, you can be under the pediatrician, but they were like, all of a sudden now your insurance doesn't cover you if you're over 21 at the pediatrician. So I'm like, oh great, well I need this physical done. So they're like, here's a doctor to call. And so then I called them and they're like, oh, well we can't do it until the 18th of March. I'm like, well that's helpful to me.
Damn.
Like I need this now.
You're like, I'm dying. Hello.
And then any ready care, they're like, because it was like, it's to drive kids to school. So like, it's technically under a CDL, even though I'm driving a van, not a CDL. So it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, it was the pain in the ass. But like calling and trying to figure out who can actually do it, I'm like, where's my mom? Like, I want her to do this for me.
Oh, the benefits of like your parents doing shit for you when you were a kid.
I literally put off reordering my prescriptions until I went to see the doctor today and he could do it for me. So, right there with you.
Literally waited till I ran out of Adderall to finally.
I've been out
Make
for
the
over
call.
a month on all of these. Like,
Oh,
well
damn.
over a month.
Oh
I
my
just
God,
was
that's
like,
probably-
hey, I have an
Depending
appointment
on
coming
the
up. I'll
pills,
just
that's
wait.
probably not good.
Right.
They're all pain management things, so whatever.
All right.
Like, that's even worse. It's not destroying
That's
your
like
body.
me
It's just
running out of
leaving you
my
in pain.
heart medicine. It's whatever. I got one.
My
Fine.
pain level sits at a solid 7, like 90% of the time. So like the pills are just barely there.
Fun.
So, I had somebody write in and ask, am I going to be in a bad situation if I don't lose my virginity by the end of college?
No.
No. Why
No.
would you even think that?
Yeah.
I would honestly say hold on to it. Like I
Mhm.
like until you're in a like I don't want to say in a relationship, but like you're with somebody that you are comfortable with and that you are ready to have that moment with. Because I lost mine way too young and with somebody who I had no communication with, and I hated every second of it. And that's what my first time is going to be forever.
Mine was very disappointing. So
I feel like
think
everybody's first time is,
everybody's
yeah, I was going to
yeah.
say, I'm pretty sure everybody's is not something to like write home about, but
No.
kind of have to toss yourself in there and figure it out.
yeah, there was tossing.
They said, I'm in my third year of college, still haven't come close to doing anything sexually. This gets me down, particularly when I read that the average age to lose virginity is like 17. Think to myself, damn, am I almost 4 years past that already and still nothing? Would it be particularly concerning if I don't lose it by the end of my college years?
Stop reading that shit. That's number one.
I don't think so, but I do know, like, so if this is a guy, the societal norm is like usually women who are looking for somebody to date, they want to find somebody that's isn't a virgin, like that they have to teach. You know what I mean? So your dating pool might be smaller, but I mean, you're still gonna find somebody out there.
Both sides.
Yeah.
I feel like both sides, like, they would prefer not to, but I think you can find the right person, like, and that's why I said, like, maybe not per se a relationship, but just somebody that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And like maybe they just might be that person that they're waiting until like marriage. Like maybe they just haven't found the right person to be comfortable enough with for that.
True. Very true. Vicky, just jump in.
So I have a couple things to say about this. The first thing is, unless you're a type of person waiting till marriage, because I can respect that, that's a decision that you can make, cool. But unless you're that person, don't put so much pressure on the first time. You're gonna forget about it. Like, granted, I still remember who my first was, and he occasionally still messages me. But like, in general, like, he's not that important. Like, there have been plenty since him, and like, you know, it wasn't a bad or good experience, but like, we were kind of friends first, and then we were dating, and like, it kind of worked out. But like, if you've already made it to like college time, maybe try and like just become friends with somebody and then be like, look, you know, I kind of just want to lose my virginity, and see if that can work out, because like, do something low key and it's more likely to be enjoyable, and like, don't put so much pressure on it. It is not that important, especially if you plan on having multiple partners in your life. Like, the first time is not important.
Yep.
It really isn't.
It's only important.
It can be traumatizing for a young woman if done incorrectly, but in general, it's not that important.
No. Agreed. Dr. K?
My ex, he was 24. It was the last relationship I had before I got together with Big Daddy, and he was 24 before it with me. I was his first. So it's not as uncommon out there as you might think it is. And I think that so many people feel the stigmatization of it, and they're not willing to necessarily come clean and say, I'm a virgin, I haven't had sex, or I haven't done this one thing, or no one wants to say that, right? So the people that are coming out and saying that, you know, they're a virgin, I mean, good, I'm happy that they're doing it, but I feel like there's that number is so skewed that it's, I wouldn't read that much into that number, and don't make it such a high and mighty thing. But it'll happen when it's meant to happen. I'm a big believer in just things happening in their own time, and if you push it, it's less likely to happen. But if you just let it be organic and just be upfront communication, honesty, you know, with that person, when the time is right, it'll happen.
Well, that, and why is being a virgin with an experienced person bad? I mean, if you get the right experienced person, you can learn a lot in a very quick, short amount of time, and you're probably going to have a better experience because they've been through it.
Mm-hmm. You also have to be careful to there's also like shitty people out there.
Oh, well, I mean, there's always the other side of the coin. There's always shitty people out there, and there's more shitty people than good people, sadly. But
I mean, there's some people that have a virgin kink, so, you know.
Some people like some people
Some people go through phases. Okay, don't judge.
I'm not judging.
Feeling called out there, Vicky.
I was my husband's first husband's first everything. Like,
wow,
everything.
Damn.
And he turned 21 right after we got married. So, and that was like a 5-month window. So, also,
Yikes.
when you lose the virginity, don't necessarily just attach yourself, because then your mother might get really mad and disown you from the family. That's what happened to him. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Is he still
I feel like
disowned?
you and I need to be friends. Like,
I have some
Situations.
stories, girl. But yeah, long story short, he now shares a Facebook with his current wife. They're all one big happy family.
God, yeah,
And
clearly,
it's really
clearly.
gross. Yeah.
I bet that's a real fucking happy family.
The whole sharing a Facebook thing,
Woo!
I've
That's
never,
creepy.
ever
Oh.
gotten.
Where do they
It's
live?
so
Is it in the
cringy.
South?
So fucking cringy.
They actually live here in Colorado.
Oh,
Yeah, they're still quite conservative.
yeah.
We'll put it that
Okay.
way.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
butt stuff.
Well, they might do butt stuff. That's the
No.
hole that guy can't
And
see, right?
That's yeah, virgins can be complicated sometimes.
Yeah. I couldn't do it.
But then
I have no
also
interest
want-
in like teaching someone the ins and outs of.
So sometimes you just want to like help a buddy out. Like I had this one guy friend who was convinced he could be James Bond if he learned how to have sex with women, except he was raised that like you're not even supposed to kiss a woman until marriage. So then his whole like he was engaged, they were supposed to get married, and a week beforehand they called it off, and 2 weeks later he was talking to me about like, hey, can you teach me how to be like a ladies man because you're like good at that stuff.
Go watch Johnny Bravo.
So yeah, he basically enlisted me as a friend to help him lose all of his various virginities.
Wow.
That's a good friend right there.
Yeah.
That's a good friend.
I have been a good friend to have in the past.
Oh shit. All right. Any other advice for this person?
To wait. Yeah, just wait. Don't rush it, because you'll be disappointed if you do.
Yeah,
Maybe.
No pressure on it.
Right.
Just let it happen if it happens.
Go with the flow. No pun intended.
If it's something you really want to experience,
Join Tinder.
Go for it. Yeah, like educate yourself on it. Like we said earlier, the people trying to get back out there, same things apply to this scenario. Like educate yourself on it, put yourself out there, make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want it to happen that bad.
Right.
Let's see, we have another one. Do women like loud or quiet guys? Hold on.
Are we talking about during an orgasm?
I think just in general.
No, so they're talking about kind of like boisterous, arrogant kind of guys that like when they're talking they're very loud, especially in like group settings, that kind of stuff. Do you like loud or quiet type of guys?
Does anybody like that?
Some people like the extroverted, like the outgoing,
so you can still be quiet,
energetic.
yeah.
Right.
I think like when I think of a loud person, normally in the room, it's normally somebody who's like way too cocky, way too arrogant, like doesn't give a shit about anyone else's feelings. And so like that's
tiny.
Yeah, they're overcompensating way too much. Like, and I'm like, oh, I don't really know if I could deal with you. And I like, yeah, I like want to talk to my partner and actually have a conversation and not them be like, I'm right, you're wrong. Like, and especially in a group setting, I feel like it's even worse.
Honestly, I think people, I mean, for those that really enjoy being loud, good on you. But in my experience, the people that tend to be loud are terrible listeners. And they kind of need to hear some things sometimes. So if one is loud, take the time to stop and shut up sometimes. That's it.
Agreed. Give other people a chance to talk. All right. Somebody else wrote
Allie
in.
made a good comment. She said, my issue is if somebody gets loud, I'm also going to get loud, and then it's a fight of who's louder. And I feel like that definitely happens, especially when you're just trying to have a normal conversation. I've seen it happen on way too many politics debate panels.
True. Yeah.
There's a parenting tool for this. There is a legitimate parenting tool that I use on my partner.
What is it?
It is fantastic.
Teach us.
you get quieter. Because the quieter you get, they have to tone themselves down to listen. Talk very quietly.
But do they want to listen?
If they don't want to listen, then you just keep talking quieter. Eventually, they're going to say, "What did you say?" They're gonna have to, and it works every time. Every time.
Have you seen the parenting
Not
tip?
wrong.
Have you seen the one on TikTok of like then the kid's crying and they're like, "Stop, it's my turn," and then you cry, and then like they go back and forth. I did that with my nephew, and he broke down even more. Like he was screaming way worse. Like he was like, "No, this is my moment to shine, and you're taking it from me." Like he was like screaming so much worse.
Quit stealing my thunder.
Yeah. Is he in entertainment?
He's 5. He's like screaming, crying downstairs because he didn't want to eat something for dinner. Like he's starting to fit about dinner, and that we told him if he didn't eat dinner, he wasn't getting dessert, and he like lost his shit. And then he started crying, and I was like, "Stop! It's my turn." And then he was like, "What the fuck?" And he started screaming, crying. It was so
That
bad.
makes it so much funnier.
I can do
That
better.
honestly,
I do that with my dog.
Anything better than you.
it's so funny.
I was hoping you'd work because he's always doing that, but it didn't work for me.
That I learned to get, when I get mad, I get very, very quiet and very calm, and that's when people start to actually listen to me. I learned a long time ago that yelling doesn't do shit. It just makes the other person yell. But if you're quiet and if you're calm, that's the big thing. If you're calm, people will listen to you.
My fiance knows that's when something's wrong. When I stop and I'm like, I like breathe and
You
I'm
get real
like
quiet.
relaxed. Yep. And I'm like calm as could be. And
You're
he's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I just
Like,
want
I'm
to go
just-
to my room
yeah.
and relax." And then I go to my room and he's like, he walks in the door and I'm bawling my face off. And he's like, "Why didn't you just say something to me?" And I'm like, "I just need my space. Leave me alone."
Yeah. Like
Well, and
you
that's
you know yourself well enough that you're like, I need time alone to like process this for a second before I talk about it. So just let me fucking process it.
And the people that keep pushing and pushing and pushing, when you're like, I just need like 5 minutes. That's all I need. 5 minutes. I need to think about what I want to say before I say something wrong. And they keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm like, no.
He'll either like give me that 5 minutes of like calm, like let me like get my thoughts together, or he'll come in and then I'll tell him to leave and he'll leave and then come back and check on me. Like he knows not to like be like on top of me, because I've told him so many times like I could have an issue, like I have depression and anxiety, like something could be wrong and I'm just crying and I don't know how to put words to this. You need to give me a minute to be able to put words to this for you to have a reason to worry. Like,
And most of the time, it's not about the other person.
yeah, like 90% of the time, it's just something that happened, like that's been building up, and they said one thing that just pushed you over the edge. Like,
Well, and one thing my roommate does that just drives me batshit crazy is the constant why. If I say no, why? And like, I said
Are they a
no.
toddler?
That isn't that's an answer. We don't need to go any further. No. Also, sometimes yes, he is a toddler.
That's what it sounds like.
Somebody else wrote it. It said, "Why is there little to no awareness about the STD risks in hookup culture? I'm talking about particularly herpes 1 and 2 and HPV that condoms don't provide good protection against, yet people engaging in these practices are probably destined to catch. Herpes and some strains of HPV are incurable and can be transmitted through skin contact alone, aside from possibly causing cancer or other illnesses."
I don't know if it's that. I think it's just either laziness or just people are probably embarrassed by getting tested.
Well, that and
So-
wasn't it like 98% of people in North America have herpes?
HPV, I
It's-
think.
It's something like 80 to 90% of all adults will have some form of herpes, like either oral or genital, by the time they reach like the age of 65. And then for HPV, it's just as much. Sometimes HPV, your body can take care of it and it'll clear itself out, but other times you may have the kind that's permanent and dormant.
I think also we need to talk about the fact that most STD and STI tests also don't test for herpes.
Yep.
Right.
You would
And
have to
I didn't
specifically
know that
request that.
until last year. You specifically, like, for women who go to the gynecologist and get tested every year, they aren't testing for herpes. So, like, you could have herpes that you don't know about if you are asking for it. And they don't tell you that you have to ask for it.
Yep.
Right.
And you, so like, if, let's say you go to the doctor and you ask to be screened for STIs. Not all clinics and not all doctor facilities, not all places test for the same things. Though usually, most places will usually test for the 3 big ones, right? HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea. And that's usually it. If you want anything else, you have to specifically ask for it. So be aware of that. Vicky and then Dr. K. Stop raising your hand. Jump in.
I was going to say, you could also just admit to whoever your doctor is that you do actively have multiple partners, and they'll mark you as high risk and decide to test you for every motherfucking thing there is.
There you go. That's smart. Okay.
So we all should tell our doctors that we have multiple sex partners.
Yeah, I'm high risk. Fucking
Definitely.
test everything.
I mean, if you like, and I mean, obviously, don't say that if it's not true, but like, for somebody who's poly, that is a concern that I have. So
We're due, sweet brag. I don't know if that's brag or not.
depends on who you are.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think you want to brag that to your doctor, though.
This is like one of those. I definitely see a big thing, especially with males in general, that they don't like to get tested. It's not something they like to do. I'm gonna say
It's so easy.
my brother Tan, unfortunately passed away 2 years ago from complications from AIDS because he
Aw.
didn't.
I'm sorry to hear
And it's like one of those things where it's me and my mom are working together to try and get people aware out there, like get tested. And my uncle now, my brother's mom, is on his way out from passing away from complications from HPV from throat cancer.
Jesus. Wow.
It shows up in the weirdest ways in the body for men. It attacks parts of you that you just don't even think about, like the throat of all places, right? Get tested, guys, please. I mean, I'm just gonna say that in light of my family. Get fucking tested. Don't wait, please.
Yes.
I also love that you added that it shows up different in men, because a lot of people don't know that, and when they look up how it presents, it's just a generalized. So you should really be looking at how it presents in male or female, depending on what you are looking it up for, because it shows up differently in both. And a lot of times in men, it can be dormant almost per se, or like asymptomatic, that you don't see it, but it's still affecting your body. So these are things that, even though you think you may not have anything, you should be getting tested for, because it may be there and you're just not noticing it.
And by the
It's
time
a
it show up,
blood
it's
test.
too late.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the time it shows up, it's too late. Exactly.
I mean, it's not like the 90s where, they shove a cotton swab up your urethra and then test that. It's a blood test now, and it's so easy.
So, a couple things. If you do anything with your mouth, with genitals, okay, make sure you ask to be swabbed when you go to get tested, and then same thing for any orifices you may utilize for that, right? Also ask to be swabbed for that, because things can lay dormant in those areas and not show up in tests that are normally like blood and urine and that kind of stuff. So if you want to be extra thorough, make sure to do that. There are multiple ways to get tested. So the clinics, just look up STI clinics. They have local ones around a doctor's office. If you go to the doctors, you can ask for a test, or they can at least point you in the right direction to get a test. There's places to get it for free. They even have at-home test kits now, which is honestly what I use because they're so fucking convenient. Either on, you can do ! socials, and the link is on there. Either Everlywell or Let's Get Checked are both really good ones that I've used. I recommend both of them. If you purchase tests through there, you can use your flexible spending account or health savings account funds on those. So you can use that pre-tax money to save even more money. And then keep an eye out because they usually run sales on them. So I usually get the full like 8 one, which is usually $250 for like 150. So, and that's honestly, if you want to be responsible, doing it between each partner is your best bet. That way you can have fresh, updated results to share with your partners. And then like K-Buck was saying at the beginning of the stream, they have apps for that, so you can just pull it up and show them your results right then and there. They have, I think Everlywell does it through the website, but they give you a link that you just send out to whoever, and you can pull up the results that way. It's great. It's highly recommended. It's super simple. Like, it's literally just you prick your finger, squeeze some blood into a little tube, and then like pee in a test tube. That's it. That's the whole, and then you just put it in the mailbox. Takes no time at all. All right, I think we're gonna wrap up. You want to do your outros here, and then if anyone watching or anyone in here wants to stick around for afterthoughts a little bit, you're more than welcome to join us in Discord for that. But Animal, you can start out with outros.
Sure. All Animal, Josh. I'm the founder of a nonprofit called Pause Your Game. We help raise money for local animal shelters through the video game influencer and streaming communities to help end unnecessary euthanasia. And you can find me at All Animal on Twitch and Facebook and Twitter and all those fun-filled places that I don't frequent. So,
well, hell yeah! Thanks for being back on. Appreciate you.
Of course.
Dr. K.
Hey there, I'm Dr. K, the host of the Submissive Next Door podcast, and you can find me on pretty much everywhere, on Twitch, on Twitter, on the podcasting platforms of your choice, Patreon, other platforms that will not be mentioned. And yeah, you are welcome to also email me at drk@kippany.life or find me on my website that has blogs and resources, as well as a revamped version of my brand new erotic writing masterclass. And that's at kippany.life.
Oh yeah, well thank you for being back on. Welcome back. For those that don't know, I stream on here Tuesday through Thursdays. Tuesdays are multiplayer days. Wednesdays are we read a chapter. Right now we're reading Psycho-Cybernetics, one of my favorite books. One chapter at a time on Wednesdays, and then jumping into right now we're trying to beat God of War. But I think for the month of March, because it's Women's Month, I'm going to be playing some video games that were made by women, created by women. So we'll be doing that on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays we do the show every week. Always looking for people to jump on and join us. The 10th is the Women's Show for Women's History Month, Women's Week. I think it's even Women's Day that week, so it works out well. So we're gonna do a stream of all women with all topics surrounding women, with dating, sex, relationships, politics, religion, all that good stuff. 17th, we're doing a St. Patrick's stream, Truth or Drink, Extra Dirty Edition. If you would like to join us for that, you gotta wear your craziest green St. Patrick's Day outfit to join us, and then we'll be answering those questions or choosing to drink if you don't want to answer a question if it's too personal. And I'm looking for more people to join for that. If you want to join us for that, you can do !socials and sign up for the 17th and join us. Outside of that, you can find me Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff. Hertz?
Hey, I'm Hertzlot9. I stream very, very irregularly, and it's usually about art and stuff. So if you see me online, come and say hi.
Thanks for being on, Hertz. K-Buck.
You can find me at kbuckoff. Off is spelled OPH on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. I haven't been streaming recently. If I do, it's going to be either any type of podcast or debate panel. Also, RP games, I play GTA and Ark Survival RP. Also, fun fact that I learned about the other day on the topic of STDs and STIs. Women, when you go to get tested, you're not supposed to have sex for a couple days prior because it can actually mess with all of that. I'm not sure how that works with men, but also on that same note, dentist. When you go to the dentist after giving oral, especially if you are giving oral on a penis, you can actually see that in your mouth.
Oh yeah, yeah. They can see bruising and yeah, all that kind of stuff in your mouth.
Yep. So anytime you do that and you go to the dentist,
be
your
aware.
dentist can see all
now
that.
Your dentist is like, damn, your mouth got
Yeah.
tore up.
So fun fact for anyone.
That's too funny.
Vicky's slowly
I just
dying.
scarred Vicky now.
She's like, oh fuck.
Like, oh god, I have to find a new
Andrew
dentist.
knows everything now.
Right. All right.
No one's
Vicky?
ever looked at their dentist the same again.
Yeah, no, never.
I'm just remembering one very specific incident, and
And you're like, that explains so much.
yeah.
That
You like-
explains why you looked at me funny that day.
No, it was
You're like,
an
what
old
happened to the
woman
roof
who
of your
was-
mouth? I
It
don't
was
know
an
what
old
happened.
woman who was ruthlessly rude to me after she opened up my mouth.
Damn.
and you're
And I
wondering
remember
why.
what I didn't know that then, so she was so rude to me.
Damn.
Anyway. All right.
Giving her a call back.
No, this is in the army. We're not
Oh god.
long gone. Thank God. She actually wound up fired. But anyway, hi, I'm Vicky Doll. Vicky Doll 90 on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Vicky Doll everywhere else. I'm an Army veteran, cosplayer, cosmetologist, and I kind of do a little bit of everything and have done a ton of weird civilian jobs. So anyway, on Twitch, I try and stream Wednesday through Friday, and I mostly do cozy games, RPGs, art. I'm doing chibi characters right now, and
Nice.
like makeup and cosplays,
Cool.
as well as talk about my many adventures as
At
a
the dentist.
open
At the dentist,
flute. Yeah, at the dentist now. I have a whole new story. It's great.
Well,
Yeah, so thanks for having me on again.
yeah,
I
thanks
learned a
for being
lot
on.
today.
Welcome back.
So-
We're gonna pop over to Casey's channel. She's doing just chatting. Tell her hello, hang out with her for a little bit, give her some follows if you haven't met her before, and
Casey's
we'll be
awesome.
in Discord. So go show her some love, and I'll see you all Tuesday next week. See ya. Bye.
Yeah, my
All right.
women's health class has opened up the